Hello and welcome to this new lesson. Today we will talk about tinning. Whatever it is you are soldering, you should tin both sides before you attempt to solder them. This coats or fills the wire or connector contacts with solder so you can easily melt them down together. Now, to tin a wire, apply the tip of your iron to the wire for a second or two. As you can see here, this is the tip of the iron or the soldering iron. Apply its end to the wire for a second or two to heat it up. Then apply the solder to the wire. This is the solder. After a second or two, you must add it to the wire. The solder should flow freely onto the wire and coat it. If it's standard wire, the solder should flow into it and fill the wire until it reaches this point. Be careful not to overheat the wire as the insulation will start to melt. As you can see, this is a polyethylene or plastic insulation. If you heat the wire for more than 2 or 3 seconds, this insulation will heat up and melt down. On some cable, the insulation can shrink back if heated too much and expose more copper core that you intended. You can cut the wire back after you have tinned it, but it's best simply not to overheat that wire. So make sure not to overheat it so that you can get an accurate result. The larger the copper core, the longer it will take to heat up enough to draw the solder in. So, use a higher temperature soldering iron for larger cables if you can. To tin a contact, as you can see, these are 3 contacts. To tin a contact on an audio XLR connector, hold the iron on the outside of the contact for a second or two. Then apply the solder into the cavity of the contact. It's just like soldering a wire or tinning a wire. Once again, the solder should flow freely and fill the contact. Connectors such as jacks have contacts that are just holes in a flat part of the connector. To tin these, you put your iron on it and apply the solder to where the iron is touching. The solder should flow and cover the hole. Once you have tinned both parts, you are ready to solder them together. This step can often be the easiest when soldering audio cables, and we will talk about it in the next lesson, which is step 3, soldering. Thanks for watching. If you have any question, please add it in the Q&A board. This is Educational Engineering Team.